for 20% off.
Welcome to a special edition of the John Fredericks Media Network. It's great to have you with us. As always, we're going to be with WVU Mountaineer head football coach Rich Rodriguez. All eyes on Mountaineer football this season. As you know, the Mountaineers exceeded expectations. Rich Rodriguez' first season last year, they went 4-8. A lot of people didn't think they'd do that. They were very competitive. 97% of the players knew. This year, a little bit different. They got more experience. They got a couple of really good quarterbacks coming back. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to predict right now that West Virginia is going to go 7-5. I think they're going to be a force in the Big 12, and they're going to make some noise. And I think they're going to be the shock team in the Big 12 this season, because if you know Rich Rodriguez, you know that he's got it going on. Hey, this segment brought to you by our great friend and one of the best fans of Mountaineer football and baseball and basketball, Rocky Simmons. Volleyball too, great guy. Now for over 30 years, Vision Homes, well, they built hundreds of custom homes right in Morgantown and the surrounding areas. Now, here's what they're going to do. They got an expert team that's a family company. They're going to come in. They're going to design and they're going to build to your specifications, your brand new custom-made dream home that fits your style, your vision, and your budget. Now, best of all, this is what they do. They lock your price in before they break ground, so you stay on budget and they guarantee it. That's a big deal. Hey, you don't have any land? No problem. Vision Homes can help you with that too. It's what they do. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, you're looking to upgrade and build your dream home, or you want to downsize, you're an empty nester, and simplify your living space like me and Ann do, ask Vision Homes. Just go to askvisionhomes.com. Now, if you invest just 1 hour with the Vision Homes family, they're going to walk you through their easy, step-by-step home building process and answer any questions that you have. Just visit askvisionhomes.com. That's askvisionhomes.com, and see how simple it is to build a house you will be proud to call your home. Go to askvisionhomes.com. Hey, and if you don't get the exact service you want, or if anything you're not happy with, all you got to do is go to Mama Rocky, who still's running the show in there. I know Rocky Simmons is the boss, but anything happens, you go to Mama Rocky. She'll straighten it out. It's a family company. That's why I love them. And Rocky Simmons, best fan ever, go to askvisionhomes.com. Along with Coach, we've got one of our beat writers for WVU Sports Nation, Quinn Roby, is with us as well. Coach, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us here on WV Sports Nation. Coach Rich Rodriguez. I'm going to get right to it because I know got to get back to practice, how valuable your time is. Coach, you talked about practices the other day looking like a pillow fight, like kind of a patty cake episode. I just want to get right to this. What has changed? I mean, we've got a new system now with all this NIL money, and I know you want toughness. Are you changing that atmosphere in practice? Give us a little insight onto how that comment played with your team in that locker room, Coach.
Yeah, I don't worry too much about, what if a team takes it personally or not. Our guys understand how we want to practice, and and to our guys' credit, we tell them that anytime, if there's one time a guy is soft or lazy, it has to be addressed and corrected. And a lot of times guys are sometimes maybe look a little soft or lazy when they're not sure what to do, or it's a new play or a new scheme they got to learn. So, but for the vast majority of the time, I've really been pleased with our guys, their physicality, their attention to detail. They're a very conscientious group. So I like how we're progressing. But again, if there is a time that we look a little soft or lazy, we all know that we got to correct it in a hurry. And so I've been proud the way the team has responded to some of the challenges that we put them out there.
Coach, we can talk a lot about August practices. Last year, first year, you were 4-8. A lot of us thought actually that exceeded expectations. 97% of your players were new. You had quarterback issues, all that going on. What changes between now and between 2026 and 4-8 and 25. What changes, Coach?
Yeah. I think first off, I hope we're a little luckier to not have the kind of injuries we had last year. Like it was crazy. We were playing our fourth or fifth quarterback. I think we were playing our fifth or sixth running back by midseason, and so I'd never had a season like that. So hopefully we're healthier, we stay healthier, but also we had a little bit more time as far as building our roster. Still was a big roster flip. I think it was 70 or 80 some new guys this year, but we don't have as many seniors on this year's team as last year. And so we can have a majority of our team get back. So if we can retain most of our guys, and I know we'll lose a few in the portal, but if we can retain most of our guys and keep developing, I really like what we're going to look like in the next 2 or 3 years. Now it's so transactional now that it's a little bit tougher to do that, but we think we're in a good spot with that. I like the staff that I've got put together. And the difference, probably the biggest difference between last year and this year, as far as roster goes, is most of our guys have been here through spring ball and through the summer, whereas we didn't have to have 20-some new guys join us in the summertime. They've been here for 6, 7, 8 months. And so they've got a good grasp, I think, of what we're doing. Now we just got to play some games and get some game experience.
Coach, quarterback, Michael Hawkins, what do you see?
Well, he's been what we thought he would be. We wanted a talented guy that can throw and run, that was eager to prove himself, and he's been every bit of that. Really pleased with the way he's grasped the offense and the things we've done with him. Scotty Fox played and started some games last year as a true freshman, and he's gotten better as well. And we got a couple young guys in backup positions. But with Scotty and Mike, they both have some starting experience at this level, which is a good thing. And they've both taken a hold of some of the stuff we want to do offensively and grasp it. And so I've been pleased with both of them.
Coach, I want to get to the trenches. This is where a lot of these games in the Big 12 win, lose. I know you've spent a lot of time building up both your offensive line and your defensive line. Give us your take on how you're going to look in the trenches stacking up against Big 12 teams, Coach, right now.
Yeah, we struggled a little bit on the O-line last year, but it wasn't not one particular phase. It's just none of them had played, and we knew coming in that was a big concern that all these guys are starting for the first time, and fast forward to this year, even though we don't have a lot of experienced returners coming back in the O-line, we have a couple, but we brought guys in that had started games on the college level, and there's a lot to that. If you've had 1,000 snaps on the college level, whether it's group of 5 or 1AA or what have you, that experience really means a lot. And we could see that in practice that, hey, this guy may be new to our system, but he's played a lot of games in college. So he's an older, more mature guy. And we purposely looked for that in recruiting in the portal. And Coach Trickett, our offensive line coach, has done a good job of showing them what we do.
We're with Coach Rich Rodriguez, Special Edition, John Fredericks Media Network. Thanks for joining us. Coach, a couple more questions. I'm going to turn it over to Quinn Roby. One of the things that you said that caught my attention is you said you wanted to play more players than anybody in the Big 12. You were looking for this team to have tremendous depth. Is that because you play 8 games straight, or is that just your overall philosophy?
Yeah, you brought a good point. The playing the 8 games straight is maybe the main reason why you got to have a lot of guys ready to play. But also, with everything that's going on and players getting paid and other things happening, which is great for them, you still – they're happiest when they're playing, right? Everybody wants to play in a game. You work football is a unique sport from the standpoint you practice a lot more than you play, and you put a lot of work into your practices and your workouts, and you do all that with the opportunity you hope to be able to play in games. And so, but you got to be good enough to win with. I tell our guys, I want to play a whole lot of people. I want to play our whole roster if we can, but we're not going to play you just to play you. You got to be ready to win with, and that's the challenge that we went with all of our guys. And I think you got to have guys that have a deep roster and able to do that. And I think we are deeper. We have some really good competition in a lot of spots where there's really kind of co-starters, and then also our special teams. I like to play, if we have to play, if a guy's a dominant special teams guy and he's a starter on offense and defense, he'll be a starter on special teams. But we really like to go with a lot of our 2s and some of our 3s as starters on special teams because they get a chance to get in the game.
Coach, I had on today, I have a segment on my radio show called Mountaineer Mavericks. basically it's some of the elected officials that run the state. One of them you went to college with, Senator Mike Oliverio, and we were talking about your team today. So just coincidentally, and one of the things that Senator Oliverio said is that he's really trying to work with you guys within the NIL. Has he been able to make a difference at all with your organization, with NIL, and anything else that you may need?
Yeah, the good thing that we have is we are the big show in town, in the state of West Virginia. There is no other Power Four team, no NFL team, or any kind of pro organization. So we get a lot of attention in the state, and when we have a home game, Morgantown becomes the biggest city in the state, and the tourism is the number one industry, or one of the top industries in the state of West Virginia. So I'm trying to get maybe a little tourism tax that benefits our NIL and get some help. Our politicians in our state are great. I mean, they really want to do what's best for the state. They want to do what's best for WVU, and having a great athletic program, which our administration does a great job. Our president, our AD, really, really helps. But also it helps to have the folks down in Charleston and in our political world to help us out financially, because this is a big ask that they're doing now with the revenue share and all that, and it's hard. And you want to be able to fund all your sports so they can compete. And being a smaller state, without a lot of large major companies, Fortune 500 companies, whatever, we can still get enough to compete, but it takes more people involved, and it takes the entire state involved. And I really think our state and our political leaders are going to try to help us all they can. I'm not afraid to ask, because if we want to win, we got to have money, and we got to have NIL funds. And everybody's been really responsive so far. So I want to thank them, and I'm blessed that we have their kind of attention with that way.
Well, this is over. We're going to have to run you for governor. I love that idea of a tourism contribution. I'm going to start lobbying. I think that's a brilliant idea, because it's because the football team wins, you bring the tourists in. Why not put some of that money towards the university's NIL? That is a great idea. We're going to start.
And if West Virginia football is doing well, everybody's doing well.
That's right.
And it's always been that way. And so hopefully, we can do our part to make that happen.
I'm going to turn it over to WV Sports Nation beat writer for football, Quinn Roby. Quinn, take it away.
So let's talk about September 5th a little bit. You're going to honor one of your former players in Pat White, going to retire number 5. What does that mean to you? Not only are you back now at West Virginia, but you get to honor a guy that really, really helped you out here in your first stint.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Pat was he was not just a great player, a great Mountaineer, but he was one of the most iconic college players in the entire country for several years. He's 4-0 in bowl games. He was kind of the video games was just coming out, and everybody wanted to beat Pat White and Steve Slayton, and they were hard to stop on that too. And they were just, from a coaching standpoint, they were so much fun to coach, because as much individual success as they had, it was always about the team. With Pat White, it was always about the team. And he even showed that when we announced that he was going to get his number retired. He's like, shoot, let's wait a year before it's officially retired, because Jaden Bray, one of our seniors, is wearing it this year. And, Pat's always been about the team. He's always been about, what do I do to help us win? He didn't care how many yards he ran for, how many times he threw the ball. He just wanted to win. And he was one of the greatest winners in college sports.
And then going off of the quarterbacks a little bit, obviously you've mentioned that, you're going to wait till September 5th, right before the game, before everybody else knows. So what has impressed you most about these two guys in Michael Hawkins and Scotty Fox, as well as Max Brown and the others?
Yeah, what we wanted them to do is just get better individually, from a quarterback fundamental standpoint, which I think they have, but also, and then just learn our stuff. Don't get worried about the outside thing, is who's taking this snap, who's taking that snap, because they all run all the same plays. It's not like we run these type of plays with Mike, or these type of plays with Scotty or Max or Jaron or whoever. They all run all of our stuff. And then as we get ready for a game, we'll kind of have a plan that, okay, this is what Mike runs the best. This is what Scotty runs the best, or any of the quarterbacks. And so we'll have an individual kind of a favorite list for each guy. But I wanted them to concentrate on just being the best quarterback they could be, not worrying about who's going to be the guy. Now, I may know now. I probably do, but I don't see any need to have to tell anybody. Our guys kind of know. They're at practice and they see every day what's going on. But I want our guys focused to just be as good a player as they can be, and then the games will happen soon enough.
And on defense, who's kind of the leader of the defense this year? You lost some pieces there, but you added. Who's kind of the leader on defense this season?
Yeah, other than Coach Alley, he's the first one. But we have Ben Cutter's back, Nate Gabriel's back. Those guys have kind of played a lot of football. Corey McIntyre's played a lot of football. Jameer Latimer is new to us, but he's been in the system before. He's played in our system, and so he's going to be that. And I really, it's kind of weird. I don't really worry about the leadership per se during practice because that's what coaches are there for. Now, when the games start and the coaches are on the field or off the field or in the locker room, whatever, we need to have positive leadership, and we have that with a lot of guys. But Coach Alley's the main guy on defense, and he'll get these guys going. I really like the way our guys have kind of bought into what we're doing, and we do a lot now. We do a whole lot on defense, maybe more than anybody in the country, and it can be challenging mentally as well as physically. And we challenge our guys mentally. We want our guys to learn ball. As crazy as that sounds, there's a lot. I take it as our responsibility for our guys to learn football, not just to be a football player, but to learn football. And then sometimes that takes a little bit of time, but I think they're learning.
And then let's talk about Cam Cook a little bit. How exciting is he? Obviously, he was the nation's leading rusher last year. How exciting of a player is he going to be this season?
Yeah, Cam is again, he's a proven quantity, obviously, in this level, but he's such a mature guy. He's the leader in the room right there. He's surrounded by a bunch of young guys, but he's just got a feel for football. Whether it's in pass protection, running routes, obviously running the ball. He's solid in every aspect. There's no part of his game that he's really weak at. And he's played in a similar system, even though it wasn't exactly our system. He's played in a similar system, but he's picked up everything we wanted to do, and I think he's going to have a great year. But it starts up front, and it starts with the quarterback. But we feel real comfortable. If Cam can stay healthy, he should have a great year.
And then you guys adjusted the schedule a little bit for next season. You're going to play in week 0. How much different is that? And then also, what kind of went into that decision in playing in week 0?
Yeah, I think get some attention in week 0. You're on TV and all that. This year was really strange. We only really had 2 weeks of training camp because the way the calendar fell and all that. We had 2 weeks of training camp and then school started, so it was really kind of easy. I actually want it more challenging because you want to kind of test your guys in camp. But it is what it is. The way the schedule fell, and our guys reacted to it well. But we'll open up in week 0. I think it'll give us a chance to have another open date during the season. But more than anything, it'll get our guys we'll have to start practice earlier. I think it's going to change anyway. You'll probably find out in the next couple of months the NCAA will change the calendar, and we'll be more like the NFL where we actually have some practices, legal practices in June. And that'll be exciting because I think we are trending more toward the pro model, which is basically what we are anyway.
And what does the competition kind of look like in other positions? We talked about quarterback a little bit on defense. Highlight just a position group where the battle's kind of heating up right now.
They're everywhere, which is a good thing. If we would have we don't really have a great position battle here because we don't have, a deep team, that would be concerning. I think offensively, we were hoping to have 6 or 7 guys ready to win with. I think we're closer to having 8 or 9. At wide receiver, we wanted to have 3 or 4 guys on the outside spots. I think that'll be there. At running back, Cam's the leader, but we have some really good young running backs, true freshman running backs that are going to help us out in that regard. The secondary is all new and it's all really, really competitive right now, both at safety and corner. So we're probably not as deep up front maybe as I'd like to be as far as experience goes. But our guys have worked really hard. And it's hard for me to tell until you play a game, you don't really know what you got. But at least I look out there and it looks like we're more athletic at every spot. And now we got to stay healthy and we got to play the right ways. But we look like we're a little bit faster, a little bit more athletic than we were this time a year ago.
Coach, every game is tough, but you got to play the expectation game, especially in our business. We all know you're going to start 2-0, and then you got to go to Charlotte. And then it's the big test with the Cavaliers revamped, almost won the ACC last season. Probably should have won that. Probably should have gotten the playoffs. What do you see there? Is that going to really be the test before you get into conference play?
Yeah, that's a fair question, but I like seriously. I mean, we did some summer scouting report on Virginia, of course, and some of our early Big 12 opponents, but it's all coastal right now. It's all on the first couple weeks of training camp was all us. And then the last 4 or 5 days, it's been us and coastal, and every focus is going on that. And again, because we got like maybe 1 or 2 returning starters. These guys have not played a game, started a game for West Virginia football, and this is going to be the first one. So I'm really trying to say, listen, let's get better for today's practice, and then when we concentrate on coastal, let's get ready for them because the first game you're going to find out a whole lot, and you like to come out of the gates playing your best football, so we got to prepare that way.
All right, final thing. I just got to ask you this. How did you end up with the best SID director in the nation in Mike Montoro? How'd you pull that off?
I got Mike Montoro, Mike Forgale. We call him Mike. And if you didn't know if they were good, just ask them. They'll let you know. We actually were together a lot in our first stint, and I'm really proud to come back with them. They're easy to deal with, and they deal with my mood swings. And then my daughter helps, and she's on our staff, helps with the media aspect of it. But we're fortunate, and I'm glad I appreciate all you guys covering us, because we tell our players that, listen, you could go anywhere in the country, nobody gets more attention than our guys do, and that's a good thing. And you got to do it, you got to live up to it, and all that kind of stuff. It's not pressure, it's a privilege, and I just appreciate all the coverage we get.
All right, well, Coach, thanks for the shout out for that. And remember, you can follow us in all of our writers. We got about 5 stories up a day. Just go to WVSportsNation.com. All about West Virginia athletics. Everything is there. WVSportsNation.com, and download our free app. Don't want to miss that. Before football starts, Google Play or the App Store, WV Sports Nation. And this segment brought to you by our great friends at Hope Gas. Well, we named the Coliseum after them. Hope Gas Coliseum. Go to hopegas.com. Energizing and powering 140,000 homes in West Virginia. Coach, thank you for being with us. This has been a special edition of the John Trudix Media Network. Thank you